This week, we're talking with Eric Simon, the broke agent. He's going to share his story of what was going on in his head when he started the broke agent account, how he's able to do so much content, and because he does so much content, he's built an audience of 250,000 people on Instagram alone. He knows some things about content creation. He knows which platforms you can see the quickest growth from, the tips and tricks of like what you should post on Instagram Reels and on TikTok. He's going to share those details with us today, but also some of the behind the scenes stuff, like does he get backlash? What kind of negative feedback or backlash has he received? Because his content's not exactly professional, and some people might not want it out there. So he's going to tell the whole story. Super interesting. Let's talk to Eric Simon, the broke agent. All right, guys, I'm here with Eric Simon, the broke agent, for episode 161. Eric, what's up, man? Welcome to the Massive Agent Podcast.
How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. I, like most other agents, have been following your Instagram account and your Facebook account, the broke agent, for years, and it's just hilarious.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So I wanted to bring you on and just kind of hear more about you. And I understand you're a real estate agent as well, which is, kind of hard to do what you do without having some experience as an agent. But, I don't think we get to hear much about you. And I'm kind of curious, like backlash you might have received, or, any issues or great things that have happened, since you started doing the broke agent accounts on social. So why don't you take, 30 seconds or so and let us know, where you are, which market you're in, and, how you got to be the broke agent guy.
Cool. Yeah, I'm in Brentwood, Los Angeles. I do primarily condo sales. I've done a couple house sales as well, but a lot of my friends are buying condos for the first time. We're kind of at that age where they're getting engaged, having kids. So it's a perfect time to kind of use my USC connections and all my friends here to start representing them in purchase and sales of their first homes or condos. Started the broke agent 5 years ago because I was working on a team in Beverly Hills at Hilton and Highland where I was door knocking and cold calling and sitting dead open houses every Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday. And had no success doing that, had no success cold calling. I hated it more than anything on earth. Felt extremely uncomfortable, really awkward, hated door knocking, was praying that no one was going to answer the door. And then basically didn't want anyone to come in the open house because I didn't want to talk to anybody because I was just so uncomfortable at 25 and just didn't know much, right? So when you don't know a lot of what you're doing, obviously, like real estate comes with experience, you start understanding the language, you understand the market more the more you've been in it. I was just really uncomfortable. And then I wanted kind of an outlet to show that uncomfortableness and that anxiety. And there's really nothing that I saw that was showing this. I saw Instagrams of top agents and top producers, and everybody was killing it. Everybody was a motivational coach. Everybody was selling all these $1 million homes, and I just felt like an idiot, basically. And it was just like, how is this happening? How is everybody so successful in this business? And then just kind of started tweeting out the inner monologue of a struggling agent under the alias, the broke agent, because I didn't want it to be me. And then kind of blew up from there.
And so how long have you been an agent?
I've been an agent licensed like 6 years.
6 years. Okay. So you launched the broke agent shortly after getting your license.
Yes. I was the receptionist at a brokerage for about 3 months and then became an assistant and then a buyer's agent. So I had some experience beforehand and had no intention of doing this, but it was when I was a buyer's agent, like actually doing the lead generation tactics of cold calling and door knocking and reading that Keller Williams book and going to Tom Ferry conferences that like I started getting a lot of content actually being in the field. So that's how it started.
Nice. You say the stuff that every agent thinks and just doesn't say or doesn't know how to say, or they feel like they shouldn't say it because it's not professional, and you just said screw it and came out and you throw it out there. And I think that's why you've built such an audience. And I make sure I get notifications when your posts come out because they're hilarious. Like, of course, every agent's already thinking this stuff, and you put it in such a hilarious way that it's almost like it gives us an outlet too. Otherwise, we just bottle it up and we're like, man, this really sucks. Mm-hmm. And we assume that that's just the way it is and nobody talks about it. What kind of positive feedback and negative feedback have you had, over the last 5 years since you started the broke agent?
Mostly positive, which has been great. At the beginning, started off as kind of a blog too. So I would write things like 5 things to do while you're bored in an open house, kind of just like stupid stuff like that. And a lot of those got picked up because they were kind of like degenerate blogs. It'd be like, nurse your hangover, do laundry, throw like rocks at birds, like really stupid, unfunny shit that I would never write right now. But
Right.
just kind of like stuff that I thought, agents would enjoy reading while they were sitting dead open houses. So I got a lot of like shares from that early on, but there was a lot of negative feedback being like, this guy's an idiot. Agents do not do this. Do you know who Lee Brown is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I remember she shared one of them in a Facebook group and went off about it, being like, this is like the worst thing I've ever read. Agents, if you're sharing like this broke agent post, you should not be, like, your audience doesn't want to see that. So there was definitely a lot of kind of finding the line of what is acceptable and what's not, and what, like, I don't want to make agents look stupid, right? Like, obviously I'm talking about the inner monologue of a struggling agent, so a lot of it's kind of the anxieties and everything that is going on in our heads, but I also don't want people sharing stuff that makes our whole profession look bad. So I've gotten a lot of
Right.
pushback on that, saying like, hey, you're giving away our secrets, you're giving away like our deepest problems of what's going on in the industry. But success wise, immediately it started getting shared by like Tom Ferry. I spoke at an Inman News conference kind of right off the bat. So it was that like immediate success in the sense of, validation from
Mhm.
higher ups in the real estate industry that really made me feel like I was onto something.
Did that negative pushback ever make you second guess what you were doing?
Yeah, definitely. And I get negative pushback on a lot of like Instagram posts. I've kind of like found the line of what not to do politically, what not to do if I'm like sharing someone's like information. Like there's probably a post like once every 2 or 3 weeks where I'll get a message from somebody saying like, hey, you should delete this because of this reason, or because it offends this community, or because you're showing this person's information or something like that. I don't want to necessarily give specific examples, but it rattles me. It really does. I'd like to say like I
Sure.
have a, DGAF attitude with that, but my point is to not necessarily like offend people. It's just to make people laugh. So yeah, the negative feedback sucks sometimes, but it's overwhelmingly positive. So I just kind of keep going.
That's good. You must have loved it the other day when Elon Musk tweeted out legalize comedy
Yeah.
and people actually lost their minds like there's
Right.
something wrong with saying that, which I want to find those people in real life and just smack them
Yes.
because I don't get it. But do you feel like the climate we're in society has made it a little more difficult to do what you do, or is it more enjoyable? Or I mean, tell me about like the last couple of years when shit has just gotten crazy.
Yeah, well, I'm not a comedian. I'm not like doing stand up or anything, so I'm just posting real estate memes. So I can't really, talk on it like I hate political correctness and all this, because I do hate political correctness, but I'm, posting like real estate memes and humor. So I think
Yeah.
in our industry, especially because it's kind of like an older demographic and a lot of like the content goes on Facebook, that's kind of where a lot of the negative feedback goes. I like to test stuff out on Twitter or Instagram to kind of see what the feedback is before I post something to Facebook, because if it goes to Facebook, then that's kind of where like people could jump on it. But yeah, to answer your question, I think the political climate right now and just kind of how oversensitive everybody is right now kind of puts, handcuffs on a lot of people's content, which sucks. But, I don't know. You just got to keep posting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think, and you feel this. I mean, you said it's overwhelmingly positive feedback. I
Yeah.
think overwhelmingly the industry appreciates what you do and
Hmm.
finds the humor in it. It's not supposed to, like, it's supposed to be satire. It's supposed to be making fun of certain things and like taking this little thing, pouring gas on it and making it like extremely, what's the word? Like over exaggeration, but
Hmm.
it's obviously so.
Yes.
I appreciate it. So,
Thank you.
of course, has it helped your real estate career? Like, have you, because we now know you and, 100,000 plus people follow you,
Hmm.
has it helped your real estate career?
It's helped in the sense of if I'm in a multiple offer situation and the listing agent knows who I am, I feel like I already kind of have a direct line of communication. So a lot of people or a lot of agents, when I'm showing a place or something, they kind of already know who I am. And that's just really helped communication wise because they feel like they've been talking to me for like 4 or 5 years. And then it also kind of like puts a weird aspect to the relationship because anytime they do something that I've talked about or I do something that I've talked about, it's like this joke where it's like, hey man, I'm not trying to, joke around here, but we are actually expecting offers. And I'm not just saying that to like act like there's more interest in the property than there actually is. So I
Right.
feel like sometimes it handicaps it as well because people are kind of like worried that I'm constantly just like looking for content. From a sales perspective, I've been focusing on the broke agent primarily, especially for the last 2 or 3 years. So I've gotten referrals from it, nothing that's actually closed. I've had one listing appointment from it, but I'm not trying to generate business from it. I'm trying to get out of real
Yeah.
estate from
That,
this. Like
that,
that's my entire goal. Always has been the goal. Doing real estate consistently helps with the content, of course, because that's where it all comes from. So I don't know what's going to happen when I stop doing real estate, but goal has been always to build the brand, turn this into a real media company, get out of selling real estate because clearly you could kind of tell in the voice it's not something that I particularly enjoy.
I think that's fair.
Yeah,
Well, I love that and respect the shit out of you for admitting what we all think anyways. I mean, you do that. That's what every post of yours is. But
right.
you're like, look, I don't love this. Like, it's cool, pay some bills, but like,
Hmm.
like this is what I'm focused on. I don't want to sell houses the rest of my life. And you're honest about that. I've taken a similar path where I want to build a business. I want to build brands. I want to, run those businesses. I don't want to be making offers and showing homes and
Hmm.
driving buyers across town when there's two homes for sale in the whole city anyways.
Right.
So I appreciate you for saying that. And I think that that's smart. It's one of the themes that we talk about a lot in this podcast is when you're an agent, you can use being a realtor as a springboard or as a stepping stool to a much bigger career, a much bigger business or whatever, personal brand, media company, all of the above at the same time if you want to. So I think it's cool that you're kind of showing people, your cards and like, hey guys, like if you don't really love being a realtor, like maybe you should, do something else with it, and it's
Hmm.
okay because it is okay. Is that going according to plan? Are you seeing that is like, are you getting validation regularly? Like, you know what, this is working. Like I'm going to keep doing this.
Yes, it is going to plan as of like the last couple of years. So first 3 years, I really didn't know what is the goal with this. Like, am I just building an Instagram following to sell stupid t-shirts like the one I'm wearing to people? And when in my 25-year-old brain, I was like, this merch operation could be ridiculous. Like I could be like, a Jake or Logan Paul of real estate and just like sell merch.
Right.
But selling real estate merch is not something that's going to make me a ton of money, right? Like once you buy a funny real estate shirt, I don't know how many times you're going to keep buying, a wake up drink real estate drink shirt. It did well, but so I did a book. I did Commission Impossible, which was a cartoon book. I've tried a lot of different things. I tried an animation series. I tried a podcast called Caravan Confessions once, just kind of seeing what I'm good at. Am I good on the mic? Am I good on video? But now it's finally developing into a media company where I'm actually hiring talent under me to do these things that I'm not necessarily good at. So I have Matt Leonetti. Do you know who he is? He does like really funny real estate videos.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
So
The dude
so
with the
he
mustache
the
and
dude
the
with the
black leather
mustache,
jacket.
exactly. That he's from
Yes.
Canada. He sings. He does hilarious listing videos and music videos. And
Yes.
he is doing a podcast, The Broke Agent Presents, Over Ask with Matt Leonetti, and he's interviewing like real estate legends. We had Ryan Serhant, Jordan Cohen. We're having Maya Vander on later today, actually. So it's kind of like developing into a media company in the sense that like this is what I would want as a realtor starting out instead of reading Inman News and reading like, hey, what's Realogy's stock price at? Inman News is great, by the way. I read Inman News every day for content and for the Broke News Network show. So I'm not trying to minimize what they do, but I think that there's another lane for media for like younger agents that are just starting out where it's just like, hey, this is how you do it on Instagram. This is what you do on Facebook groups. This is Clubhouse. This is Twitter. This is TikTok. Like these are the strategies and these are the influencers that you should be looking at to kind of help you through your real estate career.
It shows you're a great example to show what a personal brand or a brand in general can do. And, those things you mentioned, your book, your podcast, your media company, merchandise, all that is, those all pour gas on your brand and your brand fuels those.
Yes.
And so many agents are only focused on like, I'm Dustin with EXP Realty, and or I'm Jan with Keller Williams, and they make it about themselves, the realtor with some other brand. Cool, like you might have a great career, but you can't pass that off. You can't build onto it. You can't
Hmm.
add other income streams to it. Not really, but you can if you build a brand.
Right.
And so I love hearing the behind the scenes of your thought process and what you've put together and all that, because it's a big deal. Like being an agent is freaking hard and it sucks in a lot of ways.
Yep.
And I think if we're all honest, we're in it to make a living.
Hmm.
There's so many other ways you can make a living besides earning a commission check.
Yes. Yeah, that's always been the problem for me. It's just the instability of the income.
Yeah.
So I need, monthly revenue, whether it's from like the template platform, from podcasting, blog posting, affiliates, mail lists, merchandise, speaking gigs. Like that's the type of thing that I need to continue and that I like doing way more. I like producing content, making people laugh and, seeing that validation on social media, which just made me sound really shallow. Not that I need to see like the likes and comments, but I've always liked making people laugh in general. That's my favorite thing to do, in conversation, which I'm not doing right now. I'm not being funny at all, but that's okay.
Right.
I like that's just my favorite thing. Real estate is just kind of like you said, it's a great kind of springboard for stuff that you could be good at, whether, from a media perspective, like, Barstool Sports exists, right?
Mm.
Sports is my passion. Being funny in sports, there's a million people already doing that. There's a million people doing stand up. So I kind of saw real estate as this lane where I could use my humor to build a brand from it. And thank God it gives nonstop humor every single day. Because every time something bad happens, which is the majority of the time, there's some joke to be pulled from that in the form of a tweet, a skit, blog post, meme, something like that. So anytime you're sitting in an inspection, something happens, dead open house, any bad client interaction, can't get a lockbox open, like there, it gives you nonstop humor, which is fantastic.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's
And
what I love about real estate is that it, keeps kicking me and then those kicks turn into jokes.
well, it is the gift that keeps giving in
It
many
is.
ways.
Yeah.
For sure. Has it gotten easier to come up with content ideas over the years? Like you seem to just naturally like you find the humor in things, or you find like, oh my God, like if I just put this spin on it, that's hilarious. Or,
Mhm.
I can't even believe this. Everyone will understand. Has that gotten easier?
Yes, I think so. I think at the beginning, it literally just had to come up from my brain. So I had to experience something, write it down in my notes section, and then formulate that into a thought and a tweet or like attribute it to a picture. But now, as the following has grown, so many people are submitting content, which is the best thing ever.
Mm.
So, like, sorry. So my Instagram stories now, I'm getting tagged in, 50, 100 posts a day of people saying like, hey, here's something that funny happened to me at a showing. Here's a lockbox situation. Sorry to keep using the same examples, but people are sending me and submitting content. And that has just helped me so much because I'm just getting constant ideas from my audience now. And then they get the validation from like a tag or they get followers from that, which is great. That was an earthquake. Did you feel that?
Was it really?
Did you see that? No, I think my girlfriend
Did it
just
hit
walked
your
in.
desk?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you
Um,
are in LA, so who the hell knows?
right, exactly. So yeah, that aspect has been great. And then also there's so many accounts that are kind of doing similar stuff that I'm doing now and other industries. So there's like attorney problems, stupid resumes, non-equity partner. So you have like these financial meme accounts, and then we could kind of use each other's pictures or videos and then throw at an open house at it at the end of it, or just like attribute like some real estate to it. So now as Instagram has grown and TikTok has grown and all the other platforms, I could kind of navigate other places to get my content from, farm it from.
Which one of those platforms is your favorite right now? Which one do you think has the best growth opportunity for you and the broke agent?
I mean, Instagram keeps growing a lot for me, especially now with Reels. Um,
Mm.
it seemed kind of oversaturated. There's so many accounts, obviously, and it's not like the early days where you could post a meme, get a bunch of tags, and then you're getting 100 follows from that post. There's just so much content out there, but Reels has really made it easier. I think from the broke agent content, Instagram's the best because it's more intimate, meaning if you tag someone in a broke agent post, not everybody is seeing it like on Facebook, right? So if it's something like you don't want your clients to necessarily see, you're sharing that to Facebook and it has the broke agent watermark on it, your clients are thinking this guy's an idiot or this girl's an idiot. I don't want to work with this person. Like they keep sharing all these horrible things that real estate agents are doing or all these tactics that I've heard this agent actually say, right?
Right.
So Instagram for me, I think is the best place because it's that intimate comment tag session. But as far as growth goes, TikTok by far
Mm.
is the best place for any person starting at a brand or starting in real estate to grow.
So, and you mentioned Reels too as a big
Yeah.
opportunity. Have you found what kind, can you describe the type of content you're doing on those platforms? Because to be honest, and I know a lot of other agents feel this way, like I get Facebook, I get Instagram, I get LinkedIn, and then all of a sudden like TikTok comes out. like I even understand Snapchat, but then TikTok comes out and it's like, how the hell do I use that?
Yeah.
And Reels is the same damn thing.
Yes.
So how are you using it? And, describe kind of how you're using it that's different than, Instagram.
So with TikTok, I'm kind of using my memes and then turning them into actual skits and acting them out. So anytime if it's like what I'm doing when I'm bored at an open house, or God, can I come up with any other example than a lockbox situation right now? It's like when I start talking in podcasts, that's like the only thing I can think of. Um,
Oh, there's 47 of them all next to each other and they're not labeled.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. My TikTok is basically my memes acted out. And the good thing about TikTok is you could kind of scroll through a lot of content and then use real estate as a twist. So TikTok's all about trends and songs. So in order to actually start posting good TikToks, you have to consume so much of it to even see like, how am I going to start filming one of these?
Mm.
Because it's embarrassing too when you pull up the TikTok app. It's all a bunch of 18-year-olds, like ridiculously attractive 18, not ridiculously attractive people in general is what I mean.
Yes.
Doing like these dances and these skits and everything. You're like, Jesus, what the hell am I supposed to do on this? Like real estate content sounds like the cringiest thing on earth, and it
Yeah,
is.
it
But
really is.
it
Yeah.
is. And like so now I see realtors like you could point at stuff, right? You could point at stuff to different tunes,
Oh,
which is also insufferable, but
yeah.
it's a good opportunity for this like kind of young group of buyers, like the Gen Xers, not Gen Xers, Gen Z, right?
Yeah, I
Gen
think
Z is
that's what
below
they are.
millennials.
Yeah. Yeah, Gen Z.
Where you could say like, here's how you get pre-approved. Here are the home buying process steps, or here's what a buyer should do before they write an offer. Or for TikTok, it's great because it's got great editing and great music, so you could just film awesome listings. So the realtors that I see that are absolutely killing it on TikTok, that have millions of followers, are always ones that are just filming properties. So you could do really gorgeous shots of here's the kitchen, here's the yard, here's the view, here's the garage set to like some cool Juice World song or something like that. Does that make sense?
It
I feel like
does.
I feel
Yes.
like I was all over the place there.
No, I'm envisioning this. I'm like
I
I
could
can
give
picture
better
this.
explanations than this. I just mean TikTok is great to grow for agents because it's not oversaturated yet, and you could post something that gets hundreds of thousands of views without any following. In Instagram, in order to get something that gets that many views, you have to build up a following that has 100,000 people before you post something that could go remotely viral. So the growth options on TikTok are huge right now.
Yeah.
And like you said, when Snapchat came out, you're like, I don't want to do this, but Snapchat's was great practice for Instagram stories, right? Like Snapchat story and filming that like kind of authentic content of yourself instead of just uploading photos was kind of a great transition to Instagram stories. So when people said, I want to learn TikTok, it's like, well, now look at Instagram Reels. Instagram Reels is TikTok, except for Instagram. So you do kind of have to like adapt these technologies and evolve with the platforms. Otherwise, you're not going to get as much engagement.
Right. Yeah, Snapchat was incredible. And to your point earlier, where if you want to do, half decent TikTok videos, you have to consume a lot of them just
Yes.
to understand it, like just to
Hmm.
get how the platform works and like the culture or the language of it, because they're all different. And when Snapchat came out, it was like January 2016 is when I really committed to it. And I was like, I don't get this. This is
Yep.
because stories was brand new then. Like now
Hmm.
everything has stories,
Right.
target.com stories, for God's sakes.
On Twitter too.
They're coming. No,
Yep.
Twitter's fleets,
Yep.
like named after an enema. That's fantastic. Please tell me you did some content about that.
But I don't know what a fleet enema. I know
So
what an
it's a
enema is.
brand
Fleet
name
is a
enema.
brand of enema.
It's a brand of enema.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
It,
don't know how you know that. I don't know anyone else that would know that.
well, let's not go there. Let's change the subject quickly. But anyways,
Anyway,
um,
sorry.
I start using Snapchat and just 10 seconds at a time, just over and over and over doing snaps all day. And pretty soon I'm
Hmm.
like, holy shit, I'm not fearful or nervous or, I can just speak freely in front of the camera without thinking twice about it. And before Snapchat, you had to just record a video and post it, like
Hmm.
a long video. And I always had that weird like awkwardness, or my first YouTube video, I was reading a goddamn script off screen and you can
Yeah.
follow their eyes,
Yeah.
but Snapchat changed everything once I realized you could tell a story 10 seconds at a time and add some creative over the top.
Hmm.
So that like all of a sudden now I can be on video, I can be on stage, I can do a podcast, I just don't have any nervousness really. Like if I speak on stage, I do, but on in front of the camera, not at all, because of practicing on Snapchat. So
Yeah.
yeah, to your point, that's a very big deal. I'm curious because Reels, I haven't used TikTok and Reels nearly enough to understand the differences between the two. Is
Hmm.
there one that you prefer over the other?
The editing software on Instagram is great. It's very similar to TikTok. I think I like TikTok better in the sense just because the growth is so ridiculous. On
The
TikTok, you could post
algorithm.
something that gets 2,000 views, or you could post something that gets 200,000. On Instagram, I kind of know where it's going to land. But I think everybody, you have to use Reels now. So Instagram engagement wise, and I like study this stuff. And by study, I mean I watch YouTube videos on it every now and then. The Instagram algorithm now is obsessed with Reels. So whenever Instagram comes out with a new feature, it pushes that feature and almost suppresses content that isn't using that, or suppresses an account that isn't using that new feature. So even if you're just posting videos to Reels that are of your properties or something, just do that. You don't have to like do it in a TikTok form where there's music and there's text popping up. You could literally film something for 10 seconds, 15 seconds. You could put a song to it and just say, here's my listing at, 43 Beverly. And Instagram will see that and start like promoting your content a little bit more. So you have to post Reels.
They definitely reward you. I
They do.
remember when Facebook Live was fairly new, and they were doing
Hmm.
Super Bowl commercials for it,
Yeah. Hmm.
and they would reward the shit out of you if you went Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Notifications to all your friends and everything like that. And yeah,
Hmm.
they reward you heavily for using Reels, which is awesome.
It's just like
Um,
IGTV. When IGTV came out,
yeah,
they rewarded heavily. And now, no, I mean, IGTV still exists, but to actually click on the video after the 15-second preview, a lot of people just don't do that, right?
yeah.
So Reels is kind of filling that void as their new feature. And when Instagram has new features, even on story, you got to do polls, you got to do votes, you got to use GIFs, you got to use questions. Like you got to use every Instagram feature because that's kind of what like keeps pushing your content. And Instagram says like, hey, this person's using my feature. I'm gonna like upvote their content basically.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The last point about TikTok, because
Yes.
I've barely used it. Like I think I might have 10 videos on there and they're all over the
Hmm.
place. One of them, I think I had 3 followers at the time,
Hmm.
maybe five, so almost double the followers. But it was of my 2-year-old daughter eating pasta with a Barbie doll's foot. And I got like 12,000 views or
I think I
13,000
saw
views.
that. I think I saw that one actually.
Did you?
Yeah, I think I follow you on TikTok.
And I was just totally messing around. I'm like, oh, let's
Yeah.
try this out. And I had literally like single digit followers and 13,000 people saw it.
Yeah, it's
And
crazy.
I'm like, it is. So I completely understand that power of the TikTok algorithm. And plus it reminds me I need to, actually do more on that platform.
Hmm.
That's a big growth opportunity. Let's talk about creating the content itself because you
Hmm.
you are such a great content creator. How are you doing it? Like, do you have a specific workflow, a specific process, certain apps you use? When Let's start with you get an idea for
Hmm.
a piece of content. What do you do? How does that look?
I organize it in a section sometimes, whether it's an inspection idea, open house idea, agent to agent interaction idea, client. So I basically have a note section on my computer that kind of like breaks down the different categories. Because a lot of these ideas like will pop up while I'm at an actual showing or something, and I'll throw it in my notes section and then, translate it to my computer later. And then I'll usually test these things on Twitter. So if it's something that I can think that would just be better as like words or just like, a text-based post, I'll test it on Twitter, see how that does, then test it on Facebook, and then kind of Instagram's like the mecca. I think I'm kind of walking back what I said originally about testing on Instagram, then going on Facebook, but that was for like politically charged posts or something edgier.
Sure.
So, and then I'll see like, okay, is there a picture I could attribute to this? Because pictures always do better than just text-based posts. If I can't find a picture, then I'll go on YouTube and see like, can I screen record one of these things for an actual video and try to turn this into a Reels? So best case scenario is whatever thing I came up with, I could turn it into a Reels because again, that's what's getting the best engagement right now. There's not really like a process, but I also try to have a variety of posts. I don't want all Reels. I don't want all memes. I don't want all text-based. I want some slideshows. I want some IGTVs. Like having that variety and giving people different types of content, especially for different platforms too, is kind of what keeps people coming back. Because if it's the same thing every time, same jokes or same format, it's just kind of like tiresome, right?
Right.
So yeah, there's not really a process. I try to post 2 or 3 times on my feed each day and at least like 8 to 10 story posts a day. So that kind of like keeps it going on Instagram.
I've noticed that some of the memes that you do that have video that
Hmm.
normally would just be like a feed post, you're putting into reels now, aren't you?
Yes. Hmm.
And
Yeah.
and you're seeing growth from that versus just a feed post.
Oh, 100%. So the
Mm.
the views I'll get on a Reels, I could get up to 250,000 views on Reels. But if I post that just to my feed, I'll get 30,000 to like 80,000 views. So it's a complete game changer. You have to do it. You have to format it. You kind of have to change it into a IG story format because it's
Yeah.
that longer style post, vertical post. So if you could break the video down into 15 seconds or anything less than 30 seconds, always got to go with reels because you're just going to get that much more engagement, that many more followers from it.
And okay, so if you think of any agent out there could think of some meme, whether it's funny or just attention getting or educational, whatever, they go find a 15-second or less video clip,
Hmm.
and then you think they should put that in Reels as opposed to just posting it in the feed.
Yes, and then you should also edit it in Reels. So like TikTok, if you're not formatting the video on the actual platform, it suppresses that engagement. So if I were to post something to TikTok and it was a video that was recorded on my phone beforehand, or I guess from my camera roll, and I posted that to TikTok, TikTok would know like, hey, this isn't native, so I'm not going to promote this as much. They're trying to encourage you to use all of its features. So
Sure.
even if you could put the text on Instagram Reels, highly recommend doing that as opposed to formatting it like outside in a different app.
I've seen some TikTok videos that go crazy on Reels.
Hmm.
You think that either it's just so good that it goes crazy anyways, or they download the TikTok video, upload it to Reels, and then do further editing before posting it. Is that what you're saying?
Possibly. I mean, you could still do well with TikToks to
Sure.
Reels,
Sure.
but just from what I've read, best case scenario, you're filming on Reels, editing on Reels. So as
Got
long
it.
as you're using some of their, whether it's their music or you're adding a little bit of text or a sticker or a GIF or something like that, you could just get like a little extra boost of engagement. It's not necessarily going to be the difference between like a super viral video and a non-viral video, but it's helpful.
Yeah, I think that the content of the video makes the biggest difference. Is it
Absolutely.
funny? Is it worth sharing? Like, do you have a background in comedy? Like, how did you, or are you just naturally a funny guy that decided to start talking some shit, on Instagram about the industry, or how
Um,
did that
my
start?
my first job out of college, I worked at the Laugh Factory.
Okay.
So I went to USC in Los Angeles and then worked at the Laugh Factory Comedy Club, not doing stand up or anything, just kind of being around comedians. And then I worked in their marketing department doing their Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So kind of perfectly evolved into this. And then I also had
Yes.
a blog called The Pudgy Caddy, which was kind of like a, post college social blog about like what it was like going out in LA and going to these specific bars. It was really kind of just specific to my friends and like the places we were going. And if I read the posts now, they're probably read the posts now. They're like the douchiest things of all time, and they should be completely wiped from the internet. And you should edit this part out of the podcast so no
Don't
one
give
ever
them any
looks at
more
that.
reason to censor shit. All right, we don't need any more of that.
Exactly. So yeah, there was that, and then I've always just been kind of like funny within conversation. I did stand up like once in San Francisco at a club called The Brainwash and did like a Yoda impression, and then walked off stage. It was horrifying.
That sounds horrifying.
Yeah, and then before real estate, I was doing Vines. Remember Vine, like the 6 second app?
I do. Yeah.
So I quit the Laugh Factory and then had like a 2 or 3 month unemployment phase in Santa Monica where I was literally just like making stupid Vine videos, and some of those did pretty well. So I knew that there was something there with content. And then I was always writing poems. I was always writing like sports poems about like USC football or the Yankees or anything like that. So I wrote for a sports comedy site called Bacon Sports. So it's always been content producing, never in real estate. Never thought it would happen until it happened. And now I'm here.
I appreciate you sharing that because so often we don't realize all the practice that goes into, getting to be a great content creator on stuff that isn't even around anymore. Like you mentioned Vine. Well,
Hmm.
Vine was huge until it wasn't. It
Right.
was huge until it just went away. But like Logan Paul started on Vine
Hmm.
and now he's a monster uh,
Everywhere.
everywhere, like
Yeah.
YouTube, everywhere. Um, and a boxer, apparently, a prize
Yeah.
fighter.
He's fighting Mayweather
Yeah,
in a
exactly.
month. It's
It's
insane.
genius
Yeah,
marketing.
it really is.
Absolutely, yeah, and his brother too.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, you put in all that work and you were practicing, not having any idea what it would lead to. But what was important is you were just practicing and you were learning how to speak to the internet and in different ways. And
Hmm.
then all of a sudden you get put in a spot where you're like, wait, there's like I can do something with this as an agent. And I don't know of a better industry than a real estate agent. Maybe an attorney.
It's
Maybe
perfect.
it
Well,
is
no,
perfect.
not really. I mean, attorney, there's jokes to be made, but you can't really build your brand as an attorney
This
making
is
fun
true.
of stuff like this, right?
This is
I
true.
mean, there's attorney problems and there's a bunch of kind of law accounts, but they're not necessarily like trying to monetize, or they're not trying to like, as a real estate agent, we're so lucky because we get to build our own brands outside of just being an agent, or build our brands within real estate, right? Like you could do podcasts to get more sales, you could sell merchandise, you could do hilarious videos. As an attorney, you have this professional reputation that you can't just be like this, alcoholic goofball that's like talking shit about your industry nonstop. You
Right.
can, but I don't think that's going to necessarily help your business. For real estate, you have like infinite opportunities to like take whatever hobby you're really good at and kind of like turn that into your brand and build your following, not just like, hey, here are my open houses, but I love golfing. This is, I'm going to attract like golfers as well.
Love it, man.
Not a profound example right there. I had a good statement and then just capped it off with such a weak ending.
And
But
shit the bed right at the end.
yeah, seriously.
Cool, man. I love to end interviews with these rapid fire questions. You can pick either or. Well, no, not you can. You should pick either or, one or the other. You don't need to elaborate unless you want to.
Okay.
And then at the end, I'll ask a couple open-ended questions, and then you can let everyone know where they can find you and find out about your template program and your book and all that good stuff, which we will link to in the show notes of this episode. Oh, by the
Sweet.
way.
Yes.
All right, my friend, Facebook or Instagram?
Instagram. Do I provide reasons or I just say answers?
Rapid fire.
Okay.
We'll just go through.
Okay, sorry to
If you
interrupt.
really want to elaborate, by all means,
Okay.
but you don't need to.
Okay.
Instagram or TikTok?
Still Instagram, despite everything I just said.
Books or podcasts?
Podcasts.
Podcasts or audiobooks?
Podcasts.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Alexa or Google Home?
I don't want any of them listening to me. None of them.
Fair. Burgers or pizza?
Pizza.
New York or LA?
Sports wise, New York. Living wise, LA.
You like LA?
No, I don't like LA. I want to move as soon as possible, but I'd rather be in 70 degrees than, 10
Yes.
degrees and 90 degrees and
Yeah. Plus their freaking humidity in the summertime in New York.
exactly. But I'm a big Yankee fan, so
Nice. Like, no, I hate LA. Screw it. But
Right.
it's better than New York. NFL or NBA?
NFL,
College or pro?
college,
Mountains or beach?
beach,
Podcast or vlog?
podcast,
YouTube or Facebook Live?
YouTube,
Uber or Lyft?
Uber,
Gary V or Grant Cardone?
Gary V, of course.
Of course.
Yeah,
What's the most impactful book you've ever read or listened to?
I don't read books. I'm an idiot. I read Holes for summer reading when I was in fourth grade. Yeah, Holes by Louis Satcher.
Is that the one they made the movie off of?
The Giver. I don't know.
Oh, The Giver. Yes.
Let
That's some
me
heavy
see.
shit.
I mean, Catcher in the Rye. I liked when he was calling everybody phonies. Delete this part of the podcast.
Absolutely not. We're going to feature this, and it'll be
I don't read
chopped up.
books. I don't not read books. I can't tell you there's a book that's been like, life changing for me.
Fair enough. What's one app recommendation as a content creator that you love using to do content besides the social networks themselves?
Right, of course. Memes is a great app. So Memes has a bunch of GIFs from the GIF store and then actual memes. So you could search whatever expression you want. You could search like pissed off, or you could search, angry, which is the same thing as pissed off.
True.
So
Is that the purple and black?
It is,
one?
but you can
Yeah.
also format videos on it. You can format memes. So a lot of what I do is I format my video on memes before posting to Reels, before I actually format even further. So Memes is a great app for content creation. Momus is also great for formatting pictures and posting memes.
Momus?
Momus, Momus.
Oh, I haven't heard of that one. Cool. So I have that memes one, the purple and black icon. It's like
Yeah.
$2.99 a month or something.
Yeah, it's okay.
They'll let you can change it to like a 9:16 for
Yeah,
Reels.
you could crop, you could size. Insta size also you have to have. I use Insta size for all my reels and formatting. So anytime you want to format something for Facebook, for Instagram, for Twitter, Insta size is what you do.
That's a separate app.
Yeah, completely separate app. So this is all just like formatting.
Got
But
it.
you have to get Insta size. If you're trying to like formulate the same piece of content for multiple platforms, you got to use Insta size.
Nice. Love it. Cool, man. Aside from obviously the broke agent
Yes.
on Instagram and Facebook, where can people find you and get your book and all that stuff?
Thebrokeagent.com is kind of like the homepage for everything. Thebrokeagentbook.com is where the book is. Commission Impossible Rogue Agent. It's a cartoon about a struggling realtor named Ben Ackerman, aka the BA. Just kind of going through the struggles of a young realtor from getting his license, joining a brokerage, and trying to go through his first deal. And then we have a template platform that's on Coffee and Contracts. You could go to the link in my Instagram profile. So if you're struggling figuring out what to post on Instagram, Facebook, we have monthly content for you. I do funny content, 30 to 50 posts a week. And then there's an entire bank of other content, email, signatures, templates. There's a ton of shit on there. So it's great. And then also got a podcast coming out tomorrow, depending on when this is released. So 2 days ago,
Yeah, it will already be out when people are listening.
called Over Ask with Matt Leonetti. Our first guest is Jordan Cohen, so check that out. And then I have the Broke News Network, which is an IGTV show where we cover the news, talk about market updates. I give kind of like Instagram, social media tips, and that comes out every Wednesday at the Broke News Network.
Awesome. Eric, thank you so much, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I
Thanks
love
for
seeing
having
your
me.
content. Absolutely. Thanks for, and plus giving us some tips on how you create the content you do, which is genius. So thanks, man.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your time.
Appreciate it.